a day and welcome Guam and Micronesia. Thank you for joining Candid News. I am Johnny Rosario. It is October 22nd, Tuesday on this lovely evening. Well, let's get right into it. Oh, no. If you can share and like this live cast, we are actually casting from Troy's personal page because Candid News Group is in Facebook jail. It's better. It's better than regular gel, than real gel. We are repeat offenders. We also have a webpage, www.candidnews.com, and a YouTube page at Candid News Group. And that also, we have the live stream there as well. We also have it for our website, but we haven't figured that out yet. We've been super busy. Okay, can we get into that car, that white car, that lady that hit? Yeah. This is a white Hyundai vehicle, something, right? Right? What is that, Prim? It's a white Hyundai accent or some hatchback sedan. License plate TM3688. A couple of days ago, she hit a golden retriever in Barragata, right next to BP Carpelito Elementary School. If you can share this, if you find that car and take pictures of her, send it to us so we can get it to the owners. She's responsible for hurting a golden retriever in Barragata, next to Carpelito Elementary. And that is a white Hyundai hatchback TM3688. Troy is taking care of some last minute things with for his father's funeral. So I'm doing the show tonight. Next on the lineup, Prim. Oh, today Eric and I attended Superior Court of Guam for the continuation of the Song trial, Jason Song, People versus Jason Song. And the prosecution actually is continuing their case against him. There was 3 witnesses that got on the stand today, and one of them was the officer who arrested Mr. Song. We will have more on this tomorrow. It continues tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m. Okay. Guys, don't mind me. I'm just going through this real quick. I want to get it done and over with. Yes. What is that? Because my phone's loud. The Republican Party of Guam is calling on all senators to halt any movement on Bill number 181, fearing that this local war claims effort will hamper the more important and permanent fix. Congressman Michael Siniclus's House Resolution 1365 is pending U.S. Senate approval. The party, also known as GOP, has been communicating with Republican U.S. senators in support of Mr. Siniclus, despite previous statements by Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and former Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo. The GOP reports that, quote, as of our latest communication with the Senate Judiciary Committee this past Friday, October 18, the Senate staff stated that at this point in their hotline process, they have not encountered any opposition for the passage of the bill as a unanimous consent. This is according to the Guam GOP National Committeeman Juan Carlos Benitez. Quote, after speaking with high-ranking officials at the White House, the senatorial staff of the Senate Energy Committee, chaired by Senator Lisa Murkowski, and the senatorial staff to the Senate Judiciary Committee, chaired by Senator Lindsey Graham, we feel confident, barring any hiccups, that H.R. 1365 should clear the Senate as well in a similar manner as it cleared the House, according to the Guam GOP. That hiccup in Bill 181, Mr. Siniclis met with Ms. Leon Guerrero last week to implore her to stop proceeding with Bill number 181, as it has the high potential to derail H.R. 1365 in the Senate. Ms. Leon Guerrero said she feels Mr. Siniclis is wrong, despite Mr. Siniclis informing her of the dangers he is aware Bill number 181 presents to the overall war claims fixed by Congress. But look, you can watch that video. Kandit went live with our audience the day of the meeting at the governor's office or governor's chambers, or supposed to be in the chambers, but they ended up being in the big conference room. So there you go, Governor. Let's not listen to Michael Siniclis. Well, I'm supposed to hold back any comments I have because Troy's not here. Our next, well, let me open it here first. Our next story. Congratulations, Congressman Siniclis. It's the Therese Terlahi one, right?
Yes.
The other day or earlier today, the governor mentioned something about the AG and her hiring Mike Phillips or getting Mike Phillips and Therese Terlahi. So that's the backstory to this. That she is going to lead the appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Senator Terlahi declines governor's offer. Behind the scenes political maneuvering by Terlahi to benefit attorney Mike Phillips and possibly jeopardize U.S. citizenship of the Chamorro people. Late last night, the governor announced she would be tasking Senator Therese Terlahi and controversial attorney Mike Phillips, and to take the lead on appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit decision against Gov Guam in the landmark Davis case regarding the vote of self-determination of the Chamorro people to decolonize. Today, Senator Therese Terlahi rejected Leon Guerrero's offer and said she is confident that Attorney General Levin Camacho, the chief legal officer of the government of Guam, and his staff are able to represent this matter. At stake is the ability for the native inhabitants of Guam to hold a vote that collectively will express the desire of Chamorros to have a closer relationship with the United States or to separate from the United States. Mr. Davis, in his lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court of Guam years ago, complained that the plebiscite violates his civil rights and disenfranchises him and others who do not meet the local decolonization law's definition of native inhabitant. The district court ruled in his favor. Former Governor Eddie Calvo and former Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson decided to appeal the loss to the Ninth Circuit, but lost. Sources tell Candid News that the governor has consulted with the Attorney General on this matter, as well as local activists, after the AG explained how risky it could be to appeal this decision. Sources indicate that everyone agreed to take the less risky route and to amend some local language and laws to remedy concerns and keep our CLTC program safe and avoid the potential to invalidate the plebiscite vote. However, it appears Senator Terlahi has instead been pushing for attorney Mike Phillips to argue this case and was able to swing some of the activist support her way. The political maneuvering behind the scenes by Phillips and Terlahi are most likely what prompted this statement from the governor. Quote, I have always believed that our right to self-determination belongs to the native inhabitants of Guam because of the native inhabitants only the native inhabitants of Guam were denied the most basic of human rights, the governor said. Let me be clear. We value everyone that has made Guam home, but a plebiscite is meant to remedy a historical injustice, and that remedy belongs to the native inhabitants of Guam. Leon Guerrero further said, while this has always been my personal belief, I must also weigh it against the careful, thorough legal advice of our Attorney General and Special Assistant AGs. They believe that there is potential for significant risks associated with an appeal to the current U.S. Supreme Court. These potential risks include the court going beyond the narrow holding of the Ninth Circuit and invalidating our plebiscite under the 14th Amendment, which could be put host of other programs, including Chamorro Land Trust, at risk. But in an example of be careful what you ask for, the governor then pins this appeal directly on the shoulders of Senator Therese Terlahi and attorney Mike Phillips. Quote, however, just a few days before our deadline to appeal, I have been asked by the attorneys to not forsake our right to appeal, the governor said. These legal experts believe Guam must appeal regardless of the court's composition or the risk it may invite. They believe history must be served by making our case at the U.S. Supreme Court. That is why I will ask the Attorney General to appoint attorneys Mike Phillips and Senator Therese Terlahi to lead our Davis appeal in the U.S. Supreme Court, end quote. Senator Terlahi, the one alleged to be pushing this issue to be spearheaded by attorney Mike Phillips, quickly reacted and declined. Quote, Special AG Julian Uggan and Deputy AG Orcutt laid a brilliant foundation in the case, Terlahi stated. The new AG, Deputy AG, Special AG Uggan, and attorney Mike Phillips are great legal minds, and I am confident they will do everything possible to preserve our rights at this point. Terlahi made it clear that her job is that as a senator and not co-counsel with Mike Phillips. Quote, I am a senator for the people of Guam and cannot be a lead attorney, but I will assist the governor, the AG, and attorney Phillips in any way possible in moving forward with the historic appeal before the U.S. Supreme Court, she said. Sources involved in the behind-the-scenes work on this matter expressed their clear frustration with Terlahi and Mike Phillips on this matter and the risks involved, including the potential for Chamorros to lose their U.S. citizenship. Quote, key to this equation is that if Congress ever said that Chamorros lose their citizenship, neither Mike Phillips nor Therese Terlahi will be affected because they are both half white, the source said. Since one of their parents is not from Guam and are not Chamorro, they will get to keep their U.S. citizenship based on their Caucasian parents' lineage and citizenship, the source said. So it's easy for them to be reckless. Due to the pressure from the controversial and ethically challenged attorney Mike Phillips and Senator Therese Terlahi, Governor Leon Guerrero has given in to their demands and publicly stated she will support their request to make a final appeal, this time to the United States Supreme Court. The governor's decision comes with grave risk, including the Ninth Circuit's narrow ruling spilling over to other areas under legal contention, like the U.S. Justice Department's lawsuit for a permanent injunction against the Chamorro Land Trust Act. Such a decision will jeopardize the leases of thousands of residents currently living and working on Chamorro Land Trust properties, and the dreams of thousands more awaiting their turn for a residential, agricultural, or commercial lease on thousands of remaining lots. It could also affect the U.S. citizenship of Chamorro people, despite the dire consequences this can have on the people. Leon Guerrero is asking the Attorney General to put Mike Phillips and Therese Terlahi front and center and to take the lead. It appears Mike Phillips has convinced the senator that he is the man to argue this for the people of Guam, when in reality, he most likely is just looking for a replacement for the $70,000 a month he can no longer build the port since he was replaced. A new flow of millions of dollars for Mike Phillips will certainly come in the form of a Supreme Court appeal. The governor has already said she will not pay for Mike Phillips' legal fees, and AG Camacho has reportedly indicated the same. Quote, if this is what Therese Terlahi wants, then she needs to find the money to pay Mike Phillips, the source said. But funding may be the least of the problems Mike's facing, who has multiple pending ethics complaints outstanding and allegations of criminal misconduct lodged against him. In order to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court, a lawyer must present that they are in good standing with their state bar and obtain the sponsorship of 2 current members of the bar of the Supreme Court of the United States. These sponsors must vouch for the applicant's qualifications and moral and professional character. Let's repeat that one more time. In order to get permission to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court, Attorney Michael Phillips would need to find 2 attorneys of the bar of the Supreme Court of the United States to vouch for Mike Phillips' moral and professional character. This is his challenge, he claims, to be able to do this, the source told Kandit. Meanwhile, we reach out to members of the public for reaction. Most said they don't really care about the behind-the-scenes political maneuvering of all the parties, but are more worried about the impact this will have on them and their children and grandchildren. Quote, we live on a Chamorro land trust lot, and I don't know a lot about this legal issues or their political stuff, but I do know I don't want to risk what we have now, and I sure as hell don't want to risk my citizenship, end quote. Whether this matter gets that far rests on if Attorney Mike Phillips can prove that he has the moral character and professional character to argue before the Supreme Court on behalf of the people of Guam. In March 2013, Senator Mary Camacho Torres filed a lengthy ethics complaint against Attorney Mike Phillips. In a news release, Senator Torres alleged that Attorney Michael F. Phillips violated numerous rules of the Guam Rules of Professional Conduct while he was the attorney. She was the general manager of the Port Authority of Guam. During my tenure as general manager of the port, I was critical of the delivery of legal services that Mike Phillips' firm was providing to the port and the firm's failure to timely submit invoices for payment and to properly allocate billings. So it did not surprise me that their reports prepared in conjunction with the investigation were unprofessional and misleading, Torres said. Unfortunately, the port board members did not share my concerns regarding the haphazard investigatory reports or the potential waste and lack of accountability when dealing with Mike Phillips' firm. The board chairman at the time was Dan Tidinko. In her ethics complaint, Torres sets forth detailed facts and provides evidence along with citations to legal authorities supporting her belief that Mike Phillips committed numerous ethical violations. The ethical rules Torres contends the involved attorneys violated include Rule number 3.1, I'm not going to read all of that. Rule number 4.1. And if you guys want to read all of these, what was filed at the ethics board, it is going to be on our website. 4.3. Did I say that already, Prem? Yeah. Rule number 8.4, misconduct. It is unconscionable that attorneys Phillip and Bell should be allowed to ruin the lives of innocent citizens, disregard their responsibilities as officers of the legal counsel system, and violate the public trust and rules they were sworn to uphold and defend, adds Torres. Attorneys are members of a profession and officers of the legal system having special responsibility for the quality of justice, and a lawyer should demonstrate respect for the legal system and the use of the law procedures only for legitimate purposes. Torres stated she has complete confidence that the GBA Ethics Committee will conduct a thorough investigation into her complaint and fulfill their responsibilities to protect the public and the administration of justice from attorneys who have demonstrated by their conduct that they are unable to properly discharge their professional duties. Her complaint, along with numerous others, remain pending before the Guam Bar Ethics Prosecutor. So this thing that the governor's talking about, appealing the Davis to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court. Not only if they do go that far, it will affect. If we lose, I believe it affects our citizenship as well as the people on Chamorro Land Trust already, and all the future land trustees that are waiting for land all these years. Yeah, and we are going to break. Give me a second.
Yeah, because these things are gonna go on top of it. It's gonna look like a diamond ring.
Oh, okay.
And stir that shake. Have a very
We'll give him a 20. I don't know if you're actually in one. But I told Fred I used to work with Gloria.
I believe so.
Welcome back to my boring episode of Candid News. Um, thanks for hanging on. Thanks for watching. We are casting from Troy's page, and I did a watch party on my page so we can get this information out. Tonight, we continue the series into the Dan Torgun Tidinko land scam. My boss is laughing. He's in the room laughing at me. Let's go to the comments, if I have any. I doubt I'll have any because I'm boring. I know this is a lot of information, but Reese Terlahi, the Guam the plebiscite thing, the Dan, what's his name, Dave Davis thing is really I read that for the third time, and I'm kind of, it makes me worried. It should make all of you worry. And then maybe tomorrow, Troy and I will discuss it. Rosalind and Michael Cruz says, hi, hello, it's in half a day. TD says, well, that cuts Mike out. We've been trying to get him cut the fuck out. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to cuss. Nadine Bam says, F that. I love my U.S. citizenship. F them for messing with my life. Yes, I'm with you there, Nadine. Terlahi should disassociate herself entirely. She needs to fix the hospital, quit power tripping, and attempts to be relevant. You know, I kind of like Therese Terlahi. I'm not. Troy and I are getting feedback from everybody saying that she was behind the activists, convincing the activists to appeal this to the Supreme Court. But we don't know for sure. Irene Alcontra says, good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. TD says, the latest and greatest financial venture of the governor is to blow even more, appealing a court ruling. I wonder what Julian Uggin has to say, how he feels about taking it to appeal. Yeah. So why did one of the Republicans who visited D.C. tell the complete opposite? I asked Troy the same thing, Cousin Shelley, and he just laughed at me. Troy, they're asking about Telo Taitagui. How she said on, I think, PNC or KUAM that the congressman was lying. Well, now her own Republican Party said she didn't put her own foot in her mouth. They shoved that foot down her throat. Oh, thanks, Vince. Thanks, Destiny. I am boring. I love being on with Troy. Hello, everybody. Hi, bye. Hi, Marie Antoinette. Hi, Auntie Janice. Oh my goodness, your cat, America, is huge. And even though I don't want her getting on me, she's getting on me all the time. She even stained my shirt and my pants. Or it's a boy, but I don't know why I keep calling her a girl. I guess even the boys in this house are girls. Okay, let's move on to our two top stories. It's almost together. This is the Dan Torgun Tidinko's what he's doing with GTA, using the power of GTA, swindling the people of Guam once again. Part of the process of giving away valuable public land in PD was conducted in secrecy, in violation of the open government law. We began Monday night our coverage of the corporate takeover of prime PD land by GTA for a $1 billion underground cable project. Under the terms of a 40-year lease between the government and GTA, GTA will pay the PD mayor's office $1,000 a month for a large tract of Marine Corps Drive fronting land. The lease was made possible by a law authored by former Senator Tom Abbott, who previously employed Dan Tidinko. Mr. Tidinko brokered the political arrangement and behind the scenes coordinating backroom agreements among PD Mayor Jesse Alec, Mr. Atta, and former Governor Eddie Calvo. The law was made possible not just by a vote of the legislature, but by a prerequisite approval of the plan by the PD Municipal Planning Council prior to legislative passage. Secret meeting of the PD MPC on December 5th, 2018, the PD MPC indeed met for the special purpose of reviewing and passing a resolution approving the plan to lease Lot 5, new R1 Block 2, the parcel of the land across the PD Catholic Church, which included the only basketball court and public playground in the village. The problem with that vote is that no one outside the players involved knew the vote was to happen, including the residents of PD. Mr. Alec confirmed to Kandit that no public notice was given of the meeting. In the open government law under subsection 8107B of Chapter 8, Title 5 of the Government Code, the legislature is very clear that a public notice is required. Any public agency which holds a meeting not previously scheduled by statute, regulation, or resolution, or for which notice is not already provided by law, shall give 5 working days public notice of such meeting, and a second notice at least 48 hours prior to the start of such meeting as required by this chapter. The legislature also is very clear about the consequences of holding a meeting in secret. Any action taken at a meeting in violation of any section of this chapter shall be void and of no effect. The backroom deals in the legislature. Former Senator Tom Atta introduced the law that approved the lease with GTA on November 13, 2018. It was designated then as Bill number 370-34. By the time of the bill's introduction, it is abundantly clear that Mr. Atta had conducted at least one meeting with other government officials and GTA, none of which was publicly noticed or open to the public, for that matter, in violation of the open government law. In the first paragraph of the bill, Mr. Atta reveals that PD Mayor Jesse Alec and the PD Municipal Planning Council had already been negotiating a lease with GTA, which requested a 50-year lease term. Neither the lease proposal, the negotiations, nor the meetings among Mr. Alec, the MPC, and GTA were ever conducted in public, or with any notice of any such meeting. The negotiations with GTA raises another matter. Did Mr. Alec follow the government's procurement process in order to lease the land? What about PD MPC, which is as culpable as the mayor himself? The bill moved at record speed. By November 20, the bill was referred to Mr. Atta's committee. By November 30, Mr. Atta had scheduled a public hearing on the bill exactly 5 business days later on December 10, 2018. Without any notice to the public, the PD MPC conducted its December 5th meeting to approve the lease from their end ahead of the legislative hearing that would allow the lease to happen, since the lease term surpasses the legislative prohibition on leases longer than 5 years at a time. The hearing happened on December 10, and within 2 days, Mr. Atta had circulated the committee report for it in time for the Committee on Rules meeting that would include the reported bill to the floor of the last legislative session of the 34th Guam legislature. Bill number 370-34 passed the legislature 7 days after it was reported out. On December 19, 2 days later, former Governor Eddie Calvo signed it into law. Hardly any notice was given on this law that gave away prime PD land for 40 years to a company that will profit from a $1 billion underwater cable project. Beachfront property now eyed. That brings us to the next part of this secret deal, where more secret meetings and deals are occurring. According to the June 5, 2019 meeting minutes of the Guam Economic Development Authority Board of Directors, Mr. Alec has again been negotiating with GTA on the lease of the property across the land already given to GTA. This property is a bigger tract, oceanside at that, called Santos Memorial Family Park. According to GITA Administrator Melanie Mendiola, this is Chamorro Land Trust Commission property. The CLTC previously cleared negotiations for the lease of the land to GTA, and that's how the proposal came to GITA. While the GITA meeting was publicly noticed according to the law, neither Mr. Alec's meetings or GTA nor CLTC meetings with Mr. Alec ever were made public or noticed by law. No bill has been introduced to approve any such lease with GTA for this valuable property adjacent to the entrance of Apra Harbor. It is unclear how far Mr. Alex is in negotiations for this proposed lease, or how much the PD MPC knows about it. One member of the MPC who wishes to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation by Mr. Alec told Kandit that this member is unaware of the mayor's movements of the latest project to give away even more of the people's land to another Dan Tidinco land scam. So all of the happenings that went on behind the scenes, that they're able to remove the basketball court for the kids in the playground. Kandit found out that all of those meetings happened in secret. It did not follow the open government law. So, of course, Kandit did their due diligence, and we sent our lovely, lovely letters to the powers that be. Right, Troy? We did that. Okay. Here's the next story on Dan Torgan Tidinco. GTA lies to FCC. Oh, let me open this first. Sorry. Right? Because we need the pictures from the laptop. Yeah. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, you were right. I was in the wrong one. I was in the second story. Sorry, Prim. This one's the FCC.
I got the FCC right.
Okay. GTA lies to FCC about PD land and Santos Park. The company building the underground and trans-Pacific data cables from PD to Japan told federal regulators that they had site control of 2 properties they didn't even have a lease to by the date of its application for a cable construction license. In a November 5th, 2018 application to the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, RTI Solutions, which is a Guam corporation owned 51% by Asia Connectivity Elements, PTE Limited, and 49% owned by Teleguam Holdings, LLC, GTA, RTI President Brett EA certified that his company had a lease and control over the site of its cable construction landing station, the property of the old basketball court across the PD Catholic Church. That was a lie on November 5th, 2018, and GTA knew it. At that time, PD Mayor Jesse Alec and his PD Municipal Planning Council were in negotiations with GTA for that lease, according to the Guam Legislature Bill number 370-34, introduced by former Senator Tom Adat. The reason Mr. Adat had to introduce a bill is because under Guam's laws, no lease between the government and another entity can be made for longer than 5 years without legislative approval. On November 5th, the municipality of PD had administrative oversight of the basketball property that RTI certified to the FCC was theirs. It wasn't until November 13, 2018, when Mr. Adat started the process of having the PD RTI GTA lease approved by introducing Bill number 370 that day. The approval didn't happen until the bill became law, with former Governor Calvo's signature on December 21, 2018, 46 days after RTI certified to the FCC that the company had site control. Lying to the FCC is a big deal. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District Court of Columbia ruled in RKO General Inc. versus FCC that the commission must rely heavily on the completeness and accuracy of the submissions made to it. And its applicants, in turn, have an affirmative duty to inform the commission of the facts it needs in order to fulfill its statutory mandate. In 2011, Fox television stations faced fines and the revocation of its licenses, and its executives faced jail time for allegedly lying on an FCC application for renewal of licenses. The basketball court property only is half of the site control equation in RTI-GTA's bid for underground landing site connected to underwater fiber optic sea cables leading from Guam to Japan. In its application, RTI/GTA certified its control over easements leading across Marine Corps Drive from the basketball property to Santos Memorial Family Park, then out to Apra Harbor. But the park isn't owned by or leased to RTI GTA, at least not yet. The property is owned by the people of Guam, held in trust by the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. GTA Executive Vice President for Government Affairs, once again, Dan Torgan Tidinko, has been coordinating the future lease of Santos Park with PD Mayor Jesse Alec, according to June 5th, 2019 meeting minutes of the Guam Economic Development Authority Board of Directors. Mr. Alec is requesting GITA to assist with future leasing of this land. According to GITA Administrator Melanie Mendiola, the proposal has reached GITA because it already has cleared the Chamorro Land Trust. Commission's Administrative Director. No public notice of any meetings between Mr. Alec and Mr. Tidinko or any other GTA executive, nor any meetings with the CLTC has ever been issued. The public has been kept out of this process. As it stands, no senator has introduced any bill to approve any long-term lease with RTI or GTA for the site access. It told the FCC on December 5th, 2018, it already had. Of further note is the lease period granted by the legislature and the lease period certified to the FCC. RTI/GTA told the FCC that the lease was for 50 years in two 25-year periods, the second being the option to renew. The legislature, however, only approved a 40-year lease in two 20-year periods. It's a whole lot of funky stuff going on. Tomorrow we will bring you, I believe, more on the blood money. Tomorrow we would have more on the Jason Song trial. Anything else, Troy?
Can we go over the comments, Fred?
I am. Oh, Connie Jo Shinahara, more on her. I'm just going to go through the comments. Auntie Janice says, so are her siblings. Oh, you're talking about America, right? Thanks, thanks, Vincent James Cruz. America's siblings are really cute. Still looking for homes for them. Oh, can we keep that a secret? Hi, Doreen. T says, I wonder if the PD mayor, Tom Atta, and Dan Tidinko ever imagined they'd be such great villains when they grew up. They should open a university for aspiring con artists for their next venture. Yeah, well, I wouldn't like that school. I wouldn't want to teach. Honestly, I don't think you can teach anybody to be as evil as they are. That just comes naturally. Huh? Birds of the feather flock together. That's all we have for tonight. I know it was a lot of information, but thanks to the great writing of Jacob Nakamura and Troy Alikong. How do you say it? Alikong? Taurus. They are the writers. Most of the writers. I just go out there, find out the information, and give it to them. And I have to make sure that information is correct, or else I'll get my head chewed off. Good night, guys. Thank you so much for joining me and Kandit, me and Eric. Thanks, Prim. I think that's it. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.